Hey everybody, I want to make a video about this. It's been kind of eating me away. It's just one of those really ignorant things that happens and you're just like, just let it go, but I can't. I'm just going to make a video about it. Last month, I believe it was the 22nd of July, 22nd or 21st of July, there was a lawsuit filed against Augusta State University in Georgia. The allegations are that school officials told a graduate student, Jen Keeton, that she had to give up her Christian beliefs or be expelled from her graduate program. Now, the school officials, essentially three professors, demanded that this 24-year-old student go through remediation after she asserted that homosexuality is a behavioral choice and not a state of being. Now, normally that's one of those things like, oh, all right, you're a fucking ignorant human being. But she's going into a graduate program for counseling. Like, she wants to be a counselor. That means you can't finish a graduate program in something like this and assert that homosexuality is a behavioral choice. I can only imagine all of the problems that come from that. Now, bear in mind, they didn't tell her she had to not be Christian anymore. The news source that I got this from was actually WorldNet Daily, which is an awful news source, but it seems like they definitely report on things they like, and if you take it with a grain of salt and apply a really good bullshit detector, you can find out what's really happening. Now, she's not a bad student. She didn't show any deficiencies in clinical performances, but she holds these Bronze Age beliefs on human sexuality and gender identity. And you can't, there's a code of ethics for counselors. And if you want to be in that profession, and if you want to hold a graduate degree, that means you are going to be an authority in this subject. And I don't believe you can hold beliefs that are contradictory to what you are pursuing a graduate degree in. That is what a graduate degree is. Check everything at the door if you want to be an expert in a subject. You can't. This would be like someone coming in to do a PhD in biology and saying, no, I'm a Christian, I don't believe in evolution. You would never get a PhD. You wouldn't be able to write a thesis on that, and let alone defend it in peer review. There are times when personal beliefs will definitely impede educational progress, and that's what's happening here. And she's suing the school because of it. All they asked her to do was to attend some workshops on diversity training, which is sensitive towards GLBTQQ populations, and they wanted to develop her knowledge of homosexuality by reading 10 articles and increasing her exposure to homosexuals by attending a gay pride parade. So they're just attempting her to be a little more open to what, well, science has said about, the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning community, in that it's not a lifestyle choice. I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm heterosexual. It's just what you do and how you are. And that is how, as a counselor, you have to view it that way. You can't come in with these notions that, well, this person's a sinner, so that's it, that's all you get, you know? You have to be there for the person. You have to be able to understand that they're not some lesser being because of who they are. And again, this is also a case of Christians throwing the stone around of being oppressed in a country which is predominantly Christian. I'm just going to read this. By conditioning Miss Keeton's continued enrollment in the Augusta State University School Counselor Master's Degree Program on her waiver of rights to speech and free exercise of religion, by requiring that she alter her beliefs in speech and that she commit to affirm in a hypothetical future context the ethical propriety of transgender and homosexual identification and behavior by others, as well as the value and behavior she now disapproves, and which violate her religious convictions. Defendants have imposed an unconstitutional condition on Miss Keeton, is what the complainant alleges. This is not a First Amendment issue. This is you're going to school to study a subject. If you cannot get around what that subject is, if you can't agree at a basic philosophical level with that program and what it's teaching you, then you should not get the fucking degree. If I went into finishing my anthropology degree and I told my professor, I said, listen, I believe that race is biologically determinative of socialization. I would not get a fucking degree, regardless. And if I said, well, I'm sorry, that's just what I believe ideologically, that's my religion, I wouldn't expect any fucking leeway. No matter how polished my thesis was, there's no way they would give me a graduate degree on that circumstance. And that's just the way education works. You have to prove that you're worthy of getting this degree. This degree makes you an expert. And if you can't be a fucking expert, and if you can't abide by what that means to be an expert in that field, then you don't deserve the degree. It doesn't matter how much bullshit you throw on a plate. Oh, look at me, I can be sympathetic to everyone who's not gay. You know? Or I can pretend. But I'm really not, I really don't believe that they are engaged in who they are, and I think they're a lifestyle choice. Because that impedes your ability to be a good social worker. That impedes your ability to work with people at that level and counsel them. If you don't have a genuine interest in that person, and you don't actually feel for what that person's going through, like how would she counsel, say, 15-year-old high school student comes in and says, you know, he has come out of the closet as being gay, and he's facing discrimination from his peers because of it. How would she remediate that? Would she just tell him to stop being gay? Because that's the only thing that I can think of that she would do. That or she would bullshit. Which isn't an answer. You can't just bullshit this. And it bothers me. when religion gets in the way of things, and I don't think anyone who holds these beliefs should be allowed to have a graduate degree. Not in anything that conflicts with their beliefs. So they have to choose. Do you want to believe? And I don't understand how anyone pursuing a master's degree in counseling can begin to hold these. You would figure that the educational process would purge you of ridiculous beliefs, but that's what being closed-minded will do to you. It just blocks out a lot of shit that can dislodge horrible ideas. So yeah, like, I don't think people should be allowed to sue their school, and thus drive up the tuition rates of every other fucking student there who is actually deserves to get a degree, based on that you feel discriminated against. I'm so discriminated against in my Christian beliefs in a country which is predominantly more than 2/3 of which, more than 4/5 of which, agree with me on a theological level to some extent. That's fucking bullshit.